Hey guys, so we're going to do a full day wear test for the NATASHA DENONA Face Glow Foundation. This is not a new foundation, but this foundation kind of hit my radar when a bunch of you recommended it to me, and then some others of you actually asked me to review this. You became curious about this foundation. So I was personally curious about this foundation as well, so I thought, let me give it a shot. She just came out with a brand newly reformulated Transform X foundation, I think. I was thinking about that, but then I thought, that's just not for me. Like, I really like a lighter coverage. I really like glowy foundations. And this one sounds like it ticks all those boxes. So I thought, why don't I just do this, even though it's not new? I thought it could be useful anyway, and I was curious myself. I am on the Beautylish website, and it says that this is Natasha's choice of base for a glowing, glammed up look. This lightweight foundation protects the skin with an SPF of 15 and has brilliant staying power, making it perfect for all-day wear and for a night out. Its hydrating formula is suitable for all skin types and will leave your skin an even, flawless, natural finish. I purchased this. I didn't purchase this off of Beautylish, did I? I can't remember. I think maybe Sephora. And it's $42 and there's 12 shades. And I got it in the shade 20, light skin with yellow, warm or olive undertones. And generally I like foundations that have more of a neutral undertone, but if I kind of have to pick between cool or warm, I'll go with warm. Cool tends to look a little bit too corpse-like and ashy on my skin tone. So that's why I went with 20. For any of you who are new to my channel, welcome. First of all, my name is Michelle, but I just want to mention that I am 45. I'll be 46 later on this year, and I have dry, mature, very sensitive, eczema-prone skin. So that is one of the reasons why I like a lighter, more radiant kind of foundation. So how I do my foundation full day wear test, I will apply this with you on camera, and then I'll do a midday check-in, and then I'll come back at the end of the day and kind of give you my final thoughts and show you how it wore and all of those things. And while I do these full day wear tests, I don't like to put on that much other makeup because I really want to see how this foundation performs pretty much on its own. What I will do is probably set down half of my face so we can kind of compare. I usually forego concealer because I like to see how the coverage is, and a lot of times things will wear off around my eyes very quickly. I don't want concealer to interfere with that. So anyway, you get my drift. So let's go ahead and apply this Face Glow foundation. All right, so for application, I have my favorite Sonia G Base 1 brush. We'll use this on half of my face. And then I have the Sonia Kashuk sponge, and we'll use this on the other side of my face, and we'll compare and see if there's any difference. Here's the packaging. It's 1 fluid ounce, and it is made in Italy, and the shelf life is 12 months. I thought it was just a squeezy tube, but it actually has a pump at one end. So I'm gonna shake this up a little bit because it does sound a little bit thin, and I'm gonna pump out onto the back of my hand. Ooh, it came out all separated. Let me wipe that off. Shake a little more. Looks a little bit better there. So there's the consistency. It's not very runny, but there is a little bit of fluidity there. I'm gonna go ahead and tap some onto the right side of my face, and we'll use the brush. Oh, it feels a little like sticky, like I'm getting a little bit of drag here on my brush. I don't experience that very often with foundations. Even though she describes this as lightweight, I feel like there's a little bit of like substance to this. There's a little bit of like tack. Oh, but that's nice. There's just a very, very slight fragrance. Very, very slight fragrance to it. It's nothing distracting. It's not bothering me at all. But there is the coverage. You can see that it's like I want to say it's like a light medium, closer to medium, because you can see that there's definitely some coverage there, but you can also still see the redness in my cheeks. You can still see most of my sunspots. I used to call them freckles when they were cuter, not anymore. My sunspots, my hyperpigmentation there. And I have, like a little bit of like red blotchiness down here along my jawline. You can still see a little bit of that. So I want to say there's a light medium coverage. It feels okay on the skin. I can't say that it feels completely lightweight. I feel like I can feel it a little bit. Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of tackiness to it. So I feel like I can feel it on my skin. It's not horrible. It's not like when I put on a full coverage matte foundation and I need to like remove it immediately. It's nothing like that. It's just It's just there's like something to this foundation. It's not completely like imperceptible. And you can see my hand after kind of touching my face that I'm getting a lot of, there isn't even that much pigment actually on my hand. Maybe it's the SPF that I'm kind of picking up. But can you see that shine? That's that tackiness that I'm feeling. So maybe that's the SPF. All right, so that is the brush side. Let's go ahead and apply with a sponge to this side. I think maybe you can even hear the tackiness when I use the sponge. Can you guys hear that? So the sponge definitely ate up a lot more product than the brush, to be expected. I pretty much used up what was left on the back of my hand, and I didn't even get to my forehead yet. So I'm gonna pump out maybe just half a pump. Yeah, that does it. So the sponge side takes about a half a pump more than the brush side. All right, so here is the sponge side. I definitely feel like I get a little bit more coverage with the brush side, and I use less product on the brush side to get more coverage. And so if you want to sheer out this foundation even more, make it like a light coverage, you can just use a sponge. But here you can see more of my sunspots and more of that redness that I have along my jawline. The level of radiance is the same. I thought maybe it would be more with the sponge, you know, with the addition of the water and the extra moisture, but the radiance looks very similar on both sides to me. So all in all, I mean, even though I tend to like a lighter coverage, I just like this side a little bit more. I like the fact that I use less product. I just like how it applied with the brush. So for first impressions, I like the brush more than the sponge side. All right, so like I mentioned in the intro, I'm not gonna put any concealer on around my eyes. I'm just going to let this foundation do its thing. But what I do wanna do, because I generally like to set down my foundation, especially one that kind of, you know, yeah, it's still tacky, especially one that's so tacky like this. I really like to put some powder down. So for the purposes of this video, I am gonna forego concealer. Like I mentioned in the intro, I just wanna see how this foundation does on its own. And I would normally use a setting powder, especially with a foundation this tacky, but I'm just gonna set down half of my face. So I'm gonna use the Chanel Natural Finish Loose Powder. I have it in the shade 20, and I have been using my Kogendo Natural Lighting Powder. I'm laughing because I keep talking about that powder. I would normally use that, but this doesn't have like any radiance to it at all. This has a very like natural finish. And again, I don't really want to interfere with the foundation or interfere with it as little as possible. So I'm going in with this one, and I'm going to set down this side of my face. All right, well, you can see an immediate difference with the powdered side. It looks much more mattified. It looks like I put powder down. And it seemed to, probably because of the texture, the tackiness, it seemed to kind of like suck in quite a bit of powder. So far, I really like the finish of this foundation. I think it looks really natural. Even with the powder on this side, just the little bit of powder where I feel like it took away the tackiness of the foundation, I don't feel like it looks super dry at all. I feel like it still looks very natural on the skin. Obviously, the side without powder does look a little bit more radiant and dewy, and I happen to like that, but I don't like that tacky feeling. So I do think on a regular basis, I would be powdering my entire face. So I don't see it clinging anywhere. I don't feel like it's emphasizing my pores. I don't feel like it is emphasizing any texture that I have up here on my forehead. I have minor texture from old like eczema scars and situation up on my forehead, and sometimes foundation will kind of just like break up there or emphasize texture or do weird things. I actually don't see any of that with this foundation, which is pretty amazing. So far so good. I am very happy with it so far. So it's about 9:30. So we started about 9 o'clock this morning. I am going to put on some minimal makeup, and then I will be back in about 4 hours to do my first check-in. See you then. Hey guys, I thought I would do my midday check-in. It's actually close to 2 o'clock now, so I've had this makeup on for almost 5 hours, and I was just taking a close look at my skin, and I think it looks pretty good. The side that I did not powder, which is the left side of my face, definitely looks a little bit shiny. I'll bring you in close here and we'll pan from my forehead down to my chin. So that's to be expected, that this side is a little bit shinier than this side. I don't think that this necessarily is that much shinier than when I started this morning, which I have to admit I'm fairly surprised about. I thought I was going to be kind of a glowy mess by this time. But also, I haven't been extremely active. I haven't been running around like crazy or whatever. I ran a couple errands, but I was, just in my car. I kind of stepped out for a little bit. So I didn't do anything crazy. It's not like I went to the dog park or ran around with my dog or anything like that. But I am impressed that the finish of the unpowdered side has really remained fairly consistent from when I first put it on. The only thing I noticed, which I thought was a little bit strange, was I definitely see a little bit of wearing away at the tip of my nose. And I was trying to remember, because I do have allergies, it's allergy season, this and that, but I haven't really touched or blown my nose today. That usually is the case. It's like I'll have blown my nose a couple of times, it wears away, I get that. But this wearing away definitely isn't due to that. I did not blow my nose today. So I see a little bit, you guys can probably see it too, but I see a bit more redness down here kind of coming through. I have redness around my nostrils, and I think they were pretty camouflaged when I first put this foundation on. But at this 5-hour mark, I think that the foundation has pretty much worn away at like the tip of my nose here. You can see the tip of my nose is a little bit shiny as well. Other than that, I think it's wearing actually very, very nicely. It looks nice underneath my eyes, no breaking up. Sometimes foundation starts to look a little bit cakey around my chin, my mouth area. That's not happening. So other than this, which is so minor to me, I think everything looks really nice. I'm very impressed with it. So I'll be back in about 4 hours to give you my final thoughts at my last check-in. I'll see you then. Hey guys, it is 5:30 in the afternoon, so it's been another 3.5 hours since my check-in, and I was just inspecting the face, and I think it looks pretty good. I think what's interesting though is I feel like the side that I didn't powder, which is this half of my face, is only like a little bit more radiant than the side that I did powder. It is probably most obviously more radiant right over here versus over here, but I feel like the rest of my face looks the same. Like right here, it's radiant on both sides. So I feel like it's kind of eaten through any powder that I put down, but this side hasn't gotten more radiant. So I don't know, I find it very interesting. I feel like for me, someone with extremely dry skin, that if I didn't want to powder, I don't think I would have to, but I have tried foundations that started out very nice and got really like much too radiant by the end of the day. But I don't see that with this. So I do see more kind of foundation loss and more kind of redness peeking through around the tip of my nose. That is the oiliest part of my face. So I think if you have oily skin, it's going to kind of eat through this foundation quite a bit. But if you have dry skin, it pretty much has just kind of stayed put. I don't see any other deterioration, even like around my eyes. It still looks like really nice. Actually, let's just do a close-up now. Again, I'll pan from my forehead down to my chin, and my forehead, I think it looks fine. I really don't see that much of a difference between the powdered side and the unpowdered side. It looks a little bit kind of radiant right here between my eyebrows. And then we have the fading around the tip of the nose. It's just a little bit more than my first check-in. And then I don't see any kind of clumping or wearing away or sinking into fine lines or sinking into lines at all. I think this foundation is actually really, really nice. The only like very minor con for me personally, this probably wouldn't be a con for a lot of you out there, but the only kind of downside to this foundation that I've experienced is just simply that I feel like I can feel it on my skin. And if you guys have been with me for quite some time, you guys know how much I'm into how makeup feels on my skin. I don't like to feel it. I don't want to feel like I have makeup on, and I can kind of feel this foundation. I can kind of feel the texture of it. And if you recall, when I put it on, it did kind of have like that tackiness to it, a little stickiness to it. And I think that's what I'm kind of feeling. I keep doing this because I feel it like right here. So for me, that's the only downside, and it's a minor one. It's not going to prevent me from using this foundation, but I just wanted to mention that I can definitely feel it. If you're someone like me and your makeup has to really kind of like just meld into your skin and become one, this doesn't really do that. This definitely feels like it's kind of just sitting on my skin. So that is it for this foundation wear test. Let me know if you have tried this foundation, what your thoughts are down below. I would love to hear from you. Also, if you have any questions about this foundation, maybe you're interested in purchasing it, maybe I forgot to mention something, let me know down below in the comment section as well. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.